evening. I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you for being here. Notice is hereby given of a regular meeting of the District Board of Directors to be held at 105 Port Road, Port Isabel, Texas, on May 22nd, 2024, at the hour of 5:30 p.m. for consideration of the business of the agenda below. This notice is posted at the office of the district on May 16th, 2024, at 11 a.m. in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code 551-041-551-050, not less than 72 hours prior to the time of the said meeting. We do have the presence of a quorum. This meeting has been declared. Present, we have Mr. Water, myself, Mr. Friedman, and Mr. Donahue. Joining us, I believe, by Zoom. We have no one at this time. So we will proceed on with item 2, Pledge of Allegiance for the invocation. Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Go ahead. Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we're grateful to be here. We have heavy hearts because of a young lady that was lost this weekend on the island, so we pray for her family in Arlington and His protection over them. God, we would ask that you would honor us with your presence here, and that the decisions that are made and conversations that I have will be best for the district and best for our community. It's in your holy name we pray.
Amen.
Thank you.
Let's move to item 3, invitation to the audience for public comments. Full house.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I'd like to just recognize and congratulate our staff here with Brian Hansen also in the small court claim that they went this Tuesday, yesterday, or the day before, Monday? Monday. And they came out of there victorious, and I just want to recognize Brian Hansen, Joel Lopez, Eddie Salazar, Luis Nava, and Sammy Graves. We all got together and had all the paperwork for this contractor that didn't want to pay because he was blaming that it was our fault, but then it came out that it was his fault. So thank you guys very much.
Mr. Chairman, I'd also like to go ahead and make a couple of announcements here. Abel Martinez from the lift station pretreatment department passed his collection 1 license, and Joseph Monsivaios from wastewater, he passed his A license. So he now has an A license in wastewater and an A license in water. So he's a double A.
That's great.
Congratulations.
Staff, anyone else? Board? Like to address? For the record, we have Dr. Lalonde joining the meeting.
I just wanted to say that with the small claims trial we had on Monday, it was easy because the staff had excellent records of everything, and they had all the exhibits and everything.
Was that here in Port Isabel?
It was the Laguna Boulevard job.
Yeah.
And the contractor damaged one of our lines. Yeah, the trial was just a couple blocks down there. Judge had showed up. And it was the staff. And I didn't know who was going to testify. Luis Nava ended up being the MVP over there, the distribution guy, but everybody was there prepared. Could have been anybody, but it was a fun little trial, and everybody did a good job.
Excellent. Glad to hear that. Let's move on to item 4. Consider and discuss for possible approval of the minutes from the workshop meeting and the regular meeting on April 24th, 2024. Motion for approval by Mr. Water.
Second.
Second by Dr. Lalonde, and all those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Motion carries. Thank you. 5, General Manager's report, Carlos.
Yes, I'd like to just report on the reservoir levels, still at 19.0 today. If I recall, and I looked up the record, it's August the 6th of 2023 when it started below the 25.0%. That's when we started our drought management plan and implemented it. And since then, 25 to now 19. So it's been there since that day of August 6th, up and down like 20, 22, 21, and then 19. The last few weeks has been at 19. So it still hasn't rained yet, and that's kind of low. 19.0% is low. So we're still at stage 3. I think Charles has a report for the stages that are coming up, if it continues to drop down some more. But as of right now, I just recommend that we keep it the same. If not, we're gonna have to cut off many areas. But Charles will give you that report in a little bit and see what you all think about it. So I just hope and pray that, keep us in prayer, Pastor, that we get some rain up in the watershed. So
I don't got any special contacts up there, but I know the guy that controls the water. So.
there you go, there you go. Yep, and it's not the first time it happened, but it's, right now, it's a necessity. So that's all I have for the board.
Thank you, Carlos. Let's carry on to 6. Consider and discuss the possible approval of a November 5th, 2024 general election for the Laguna Madre Water District Board of Directors meeting to be administered by the Cameron County Elections Department.
Yes, on this one, we just need a board approval so we can continue and set up for this year's election.
Second.
Second by Dr. Lalonde, all in favor? Are there any opposed? None, motion carries. Move to item 7, consider and discuss for possible approval the updated 2024 hurricane preparedness operational plan.
As every year, we prepare for the changes that come up, new employees or new personnel. So there's some minor changes in there, and we'd like to get this year's approval. Hurricane season starts in June 1st, and it'll go all the way to November, I believe November the 30th. So we need to be prepared for that, and there's all kinds of plans that are in there that we need to take action on and all that. So we just like the board's approval for that one, this year, 2024's hurricane preparedness.
It looked really good.
Any questions, comments? Yeah.
Motion approved. Motion for approval by Johnny, second by Mr. Potter. Are all those in favor? Aye. Are there any opposed? No, motion carries.
Thank you.
8, Director of Operations report.
Chairman, members of the board, the operations report for the month of April compared to March, it did go up, spiked up quite a bit. March was 325 service and service orders and call out, whereas in April we had 511. Those were attributed to water taps. We had an increase of 36 service calls in those. Disconnect customers were out by 23, and change in registers, meters, that went up by 52, and faulty transmitters went up by 79. In the distribution and collection side, the service orders and call-outs did go down. In April, there were 73, whereas in March there were 73. In April, there were 38. We had that attributed to sewer backups, that went down by 6. And preventive maintenance went down by 30. And then in the pre-treatment, lift station personnel, their service orders went down by 5. They had 48 in March and 42 in April, and those were attributed mostly to the removal of fog and clean flow from the lift station wells. Any questions? Thank you, Council.
Item 9.
Good evening. It's the first item on the entry report was the traffic safety plan. I think it had to, it was good to read this and give it fresh to see what we next stage. So really the front end of the stocking is kind of what we've had for a long time. And as we jump to the draft contingency, we replaced the previous one with actually that's from the guys from state document. And so we've set these triggers. The stage 3, which is where we're currently at, would take effect when the reservoir is 25% or below. And then stage 4 would take effect when the reservoirs fall below 50% or below, which has never happened. But, being that we're at 19%, I mean, that's something we really need to be ready, in case that does happen. And, if you look at those triggers, the only thing that could be worse is emergency condition. So stage 4 is our most critical condition. And really, the big parts of this, for example, are that basically the use of hose-in sprinklers and permanently installed automatic sprinkler systems are prohibited at all times. So adjusting your windows to water, which would be limited on your watering days from 6 to 10 in the morning and 8 to 12. And you're not even allowed to be using automatic sprinklers at all under stage 4. Your basically commercial car washes are limited to operations from 6 to 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. You're prohibited from using water-filled pools, and there's no applications for new connections if we go to stage 4. So that's how serious it gets, when the reservoir gets down that level. So, I mean, it's something we never had to implement.
If something like that drastic happens, what is our enforcement? Who is our enforcement measure?
Yeah, well, and our enforcement that's in place, it's through there is an enforcement section on here, and it goes through Justice of the Peace Precinct 1, where there is authority through the general manager for fines, not less than $200 or more than $1,000. Basically, it's allowed the general manager to enforce it. We can do enforcement under stage 3 already, so we have that authority. And then under stage 4, it's just more restricted conditions that have enforcement.
I think we should increase our publications and information out there to at least encourage people to start conserving and getting ready. I mean, that's pretty close. We're pretty close there. It's only May.
Right.
So I think we need to educate our consumers a little bit more about this pressing issue. And it ties into everything else.
Yes, and I agree that just the public campaigns, awareness, I mean, maybe please step it up because a lot of people don't understand the seriousness of it.
But I think we need to get our consumers to know that 3 to 4 is close.
Yeah, Facebook stuff or whatever.
Yes.
Does no more new connections mean, hey, you just built a house, but sorry, we can't hook you up to water?
That's what that statement is saying. I mean, if it's enforced, you wait till the reservoirs get below 50% for a connection.
Do the multiple people building homes in this area know that there's several significant developments?
Right, I'm sure this has not been publicized or.
I believe we can send out a newsletter or something to that effect where we can advise them,
Who decides that? Who decides, is that, if a city has already issued a building permit, are we then under an obligation? Yes. Brian, to turn on their water at that point? When does this assume? When does this, a new home's been all the way built, they've gone through permitting, it's all the way up, it took a year, the person's ready to move in, and we we can't connect?
And then there's a restriction placed on us by these requirements?
Yeah,
But
does
it's
that
on
restriction stop us from accepting new permits, or does it stop us from turning water on? Where does that stop?
Okay, it starts actually at stage 4. That's when.
Yeah, I know when it starts at stage 4, but
15%.
when do we?
So we need to start now sending those advisories
You missed my question.
I understand.
Yeah.
What he's asking is
permit.
which prevails, the regulation or the permit? My feeling would probably be the regulation, but I don't know for sure. I haven't looked into the issue. But when it's like a private contract or something like that, or an environmental regulation, normally that would take precedent. Because they don't want the water being used.
It's for the permit for the meter, right? Not for
But
the
I don't
connection.
know, but I don't know.
So you might already have the meter in the ground, was an issue.
Yeah, it's,
Put the meter in the ground.
yeah, if we receive the application, it would continue the process from how interpreting, but we would just not allow new applications.
Right.
So basically, if they've got a permit, they're starting building the home, they're in luck, they're gonna be able to get water to that home.
Yeah.
What they won't be able to do is issue a new permit.
Correct, I mean,
Right.
the customer service would not be allowed to start new applications and.
So like basically anybody who is building a home right at this moment, you're in luck. But if it
Right.
hits 14%, no, we won't be able to accept at that point.
Well, that's the target, it would be when it's implemented by the gentleman. That would be the stage where it's.
But what,
Yeah, this is something that has to get answered. I feel like it's not clear to me at all. And
Okay.
I mean, I know guys, if Jason was here, he would need to know this very specifically. Does it mean any homes he's already building, when he's finished, if it's under 15%, he can't give them all? Or does it mean he can't give water to any new homes that he would potentially start building under 15%? You guys understand the difference?
yes,
Yeah,
I
assume
do.
you're reading it, Brian, and
I'm looking,
it might not be right now that you can
Yeah,
do it,
I-
but
Yeah,
we need a hard determination on this.
But we can start advising them now that at below 15%, we're gonna stop issuing the permits for a water tap. That's all it is. Cities can probably give out permit, but we can advise them too what we're gonna do, so they can be on the same page. But we're the ones that regulate that, the water district.
Yeah, man, we should get out to all the city managers.
City managers and especially the permitting
Right.
offices.
Yeah.
I think we need to be proactive in informing
Okay.
what's going on, that's my comment.
Agreed. Anybody who's building a home, I mean, imagine there's a builder who doesn't know this
Yeah.
and sells a lot, and now that guy's gonna potentially be in litigation with the person he sold it to, who thinks he's gonna get a home. And then he might come back to us and be like, you never told me that I wasn't gonna be able to get them water, and then now we're stuck in something, right? Whether or not we have liability, doesn't matter. That builder may very well think we do. So we want to avoid being in that position.
I think
Does
contacting the
this-
people who do the permitting is.
Does this apply to a new account? Like, somebody moves out of a condo, the next person comes in, would they be able to get service, or is that considered a
Well,
new?
that-
What it says is no application for new, additional, expanded, or increased in size water service connections, meters, service lines, pipeline extensions made. So I think status quo is fine, but they just don't want any new applications once they hit that stage.
And do we assume then that like if you've already,
If your application's already in process, I think you're fine, based on reading this. It says explicitly here, no application.
So we would have to notify all the real estate people.
We should probably be notifying everybody.
Yes.
Well, yes,
Notified.
it's on our website already, but we need to implement something more to that purpose of the tap fees and permitting and this and that.
I'm with every permitting department in every city.
Because when this happens, everyone's gonna say,
It,
no one told me.
Right.
Better do it through email. Email, text, I mean, all the above, but I don't wanna keep going on, we've got a busy agenda. This is an important issue, but it's one that needs to be delivered, that's my comment.
and we'll move forward in trying to activate something to all the entities, the cities. That's why we wanted to let the board know that we have to do something, but
Cause I'd rather be proactive
that's
than reactive.
more, yeah, right. So, thank you for all the information. We'll work on it.
Does that conclude?
Yeah, that concludes the draft contingency plan. The next bill we have is the capital bond funding committee. And so we have a list here of the potential members that, Bill, go ahead and give the presentation on the slide. But, just I don't know if
Excellent, excellent road.
So I guess there was no official action, but do we want to call this, or maybe in a future meeting, we can already call that, formally approve that group as our committee members?
Yeah, you have to approve it.
Okay, so, formally create that.
And the only thing that we may add some more, so with your approval of adding more as they come along,
Yeah, we may want
we'll
to
add
add
'em.
more as well.
yeah, we need some more.
How many
Sometime-
members were those? How many total members?
9.
On the committee?
9.
9? And how many more did you want to add, or what?
At least a 20, if we can get, because sometimes some people will miss the
Right.
meetings and some will attend, so at least 20.
Let me hand it over to Bill for a presentation.
All right.
Speaking of communication and proactive, this is a presentation that is kind of generic, that it's made where you guys could give it, Carlos, anybody could give it in a public setting. And so what I want to do is get your feedback as well. That's too much information, or we need more information here, or whatever. And so this is going to be accompanied by a handout that has more detail to it. So I've got a section there, frequently asked questions. I've picked 3 or 4 to put on the slide, but I've got at least 30 or 40 answers. And so, and then they're all divided by sections. So what about environmental? So here's all the questions related to environmental. So this is longer than my normal report. So what I'm trying to do is keep a presentation to around 15 to 20 minutes. Then that would be the public, and then you ask questions and testimony and things like that. So I'm going to put my time up here. So kind of the purpose.
Press down.
Down, down, that's here. Okay. Really, the purpose of the stakeholders meeting is to give an outreach, educate the public. We want to educate everybody that's in this area of what we're doing. We want to gather feedback, but right now, we're not in the design phase, we're in the collection of feedback stage. And we want to make sure that everybody knows we're not covering up anything, it's just to ensure transparency on what we're doing. We want to foster collaboration, we want to go hand in hand, not against anyone. And then, of course, we want to make sure we're under regulatory compliance as well. So the outline is really to look at kind of taking the big picture of what's happening in the state of Texas, which is important really to us, and the cost, and then I want to bring it back down into more of the local perspective. What does it mean to look at the Miami Water District? What does it cost? What are the environmental needs? And some frequently asked questions, and then I would open it up to public comment. So looking at the big picture, this slide kind of shows what does water cost. And so if you look at the slide, 7% of your household utility expenses is in water and sewer. And this comes from the statewide study, not necessarily local. So I used to say a long time ago that as long as your cable bill is more than your water bill, you're never going to get ahead in the water system, because there's too many expenses pipes. No one is really planning for the future, and so it's quite a big expense to pay for something that was done 40 years ago, 50 years ago. So if you look at this, for the past 35 years, Texas has enjoyed the historic population growth without having to build new infrastructure. And I'll get into a slide how all that happened during the 50s, as all of our infrastructure was built in 30 or 40 years ago. And we haven't had to pay for any of that. It's been a free gift from the previous generation. And so what does that mean? So in this particular slide, the blue slide is water availability. You see we had a really strong increase in the 50s to about 1980 and 90. That's when 75% of the reservoirs were built out after the drought of the 50s. And you see this sharp There's no more new reservoirs. One's been built since 1990, and it takes 40 to 50 years if you can get them built. Because in 1972, there was enacted environmental laws that makes it almost impossible to build a reservoir. And so there's been no new water coming in. As you can see, on the gray line is the total population. The population continues to grow, but there's no new water. So this is kind of combining the water per capita. So kind of combining the previous graph. As you can see, in 1975, we had a lot of water per person. You can see sharply that line is going down per person. So we're about in the same situation when we're back in the 1950s. If we have a drought like we had back in the 50s, we've had 2 years of drought. We really haven't had the drought compared to what the Dust Bowl or back then. Will it happen again? Who knows? But population is increasing and our supplies is not getting any larger. So this is the generation then, planning and development, but they had a reason to do it. They ran out of water. And so they passed the law. That's when they invented desalination back then. And so they get federal government put a lot of money into infrastructure. So now, where we are now is we're living off conservation. Let's conserve and then manage the water that we have. Okay, that's fine, but we have so much population that's coming in from the state and the valley as well. So what's the next generation? Is it going to be a crisis? Or we're going to say, well, we're not worried about it now, we'll let our kids and grandkids take care of it. They're going to be in the same situation in the 50s. That is going to be an enormous burden that we take care of it now. I think we're in that now situation. So let's get a little bit more local. This is the reservoir system you see back before 1990. There's only been a short period of time where we've been above conservation level in 2 reservoir systems. And you can see down here, where the question mark is, I think I'm even high. I think we're below the 20%, right? The 19. And so we don't know what that looks like, but you can see it steadily decreased. And once it fills up, you can see all these lines, you can see those triangles is your previous seawater pilot plants. The yellow triangles. You see right there, they got that's when you did the pilot.
Okay.
And then you did a 2010, that's when you passed the bond issue in 2011, I think it was, that you passed the bond issue through the second pipe to actually build your desal plant. But it didn't go any further to go right now. So you can see the reservoir is filled up. Now we're back down, but you see a steady decline because we have a steady increase in population. So the decline is one drought and also consumption. So you see that's the reservoir, the Rio Grande near Brownsville in 2001. And so that's when Brownsville built Southwest Regional Water Authority and their desal plant. And so you see they finished it about in 2004, the red one, the third triangle there on the bottom. And then the reservoir's filled up. But now they got 2 sources of water, and now they don't have to worry too much about the drought. They have a baseline.
Well, I don't want to change the subject, but how much does that Southmost add to their water capacity? How much, like,
They provide
5% or roughly, just roughly?
40%, 35 to 40%. And they, last year they were looking at increasing the capacity of that again, and then another expansion of 20 right now.
Pays for that.
The people that are partners in that, so Los Fresnos, Rancho Viejo, Brownsville, Port Brownsville, and are partners in that. So they will take all the water they can get. This is relatively, I want to say not cheap, but it's relatively inexpensive, cheaper than seawater. But they're limited with what they can produce. The second expansion that they are going to do to be very expensive is they've got to build a whole new well. And so, one, the district wants an alternative source of water, but 2, you need water supply. So those 2 are combined. if you had all the water supply you needed, we wouldn't necessarily need to build an alternative supply. But as you saw, the reservoir system is limited in its ability to provide you the water that you need in the future. So you can see here, this is from the state water plan. The first three lines is what is in the plan showing the deficit. You have demand like in 2020 of 7,900. You have a supply, firm supply of 7,500. When I say firm, it's firm that you have firm water rights or water rights. But you actually don't. But you are subject to adjudication. When the reservoirs are down, you really only have 5,900. And so you were at a deficit if you didn't count the firm rights. So you're really about 2,000 acre feet off during that year. You were able to buy water rights off the market to be able to supply that. Or actually you didn't have to buy them because in spite of the drought, there was times of free pumping. So you got to pump for free even though you didn't have the water rights. And that's where you got it right. I mean, it's free pumping, but you can't always
Well,
plan on free pumping.
yeah, this year our no charge water's been zero. We haven't had any.
Yeah. So it's not a reliable source to depend on that. And you can see we need for 5 MGD is what we're looking at. If you're looking at probably getting that out to 2050 at the firm supply of the project. If you do 5 MGD.
So there you have demand that keeps growing. Are we able as a district to say, hey, forget 15%, we're not gonna authorize any new water taps? So we're at 40%. Do we have the authority to do that? Or are we obligated?
I think we're obligated if it's within our
District
Within the
boundary.
boundaries.
our service area.
Like, we have to give people water. And our city's obligated to allow people to keep moving in even if we don't have water.
I don't know what the city's, what their approval process is for.
Yeah, we need to look at places like Cambria, California. It just takes forever to get permitted. So land, they may only permit 4 homes in a given year. And so people own lands and then they own golden ticket that, they're number 38 on the meter list. And they've been doing that for years in Cambria. So I know that's a legal mechanism.
And none of us are really suggesting we want to do that.
Yeah.
Because we know that we want people to move here and the growth is good for all the other reasons we know growth is good. But other people will say this, their solution will be, when we do these presentations, they'll say, well, instead of increasing the supply, limit the demand. And then you solve your problem. They'll say, just keep the demand constant by not allowing new people to come. It's the same thing. And so we're gonna have to have an answer to that, like, well, unless it's below a certain amount, we're obligated to give people water. That's how it works. And they're gonna go to the city and be like, well, maybe we should, we have that on here today, right? There's annexing 32 acres. So it's just, I think we need to really consider these things that we don't usually have to consider and get some hard answers to. We may have to talk with the cities too, right? Like, hey, what's going to be, where can we share policy on this that makes sense?
We need, when we inform them, to let them know where we're at now and when that's gonna happen. In other words, so they know how close it is.
Well, we don't really know, but we can
I
give an educated guess.
all over the rest of
Even the
the
summer's what it looks like.
Yeah,
Electric storm.
Right. Well, I
I'm not
mean,
trying to be measured at
no,
all.
no. I mean, it went down 1% from when? A month ago.
Yeah. So how low does it have to go?
It actually did get rained up by Falcon, by the way, the last month. If you look at the map, I mean, it was kind of greenish by
Yes.
Falcon. They actually had
Probably
fair
like
amount
a
of water.
couple of days or so.
But the places in between didn't, so.
And if it doesn't fall in our watershed, and it rains between here and Falcon Lake, that's when they call us and say, you can get free water. No charge. They call it no charge water, which they don't take it away from our water rights. They just say pump, and they'll let us know how many days we need to pump, because it's gonna go out to the Gulf.
As we continue to refine this, I think, who will be giving this presentation to?
Well,
I mean,
well,
we can practice, we can do some things,
right, right.
but the point, I guess, of this is there's plenty of water. There's just no infrastructure.
Yeah, if we had something, neat and tidy that wasn't too complicated, we could do it at churches, we could do small events to get.
But
When
I
you say
think
there's
we're
plenty of water,
side
no
effects.
infrastructure,
I'm sorry?
you mean
There's
salt
an
water,
ocean.
ocean
Yeah.
water.
Okay,
Yeah, water,
just
yeah.
supply. I mean, that's kind of the crux of this presentation is you don't have a water shortage problem, you have an infrastructure on top of it.
Right.
That's a good sales pitch.
So what are we looking for? We're looking for an alternate supply, not sticking with what we have. I mean, there's always an option to do nothing. And there's an option to keep doing the same thing you've been doing. Or, so the criteria that we were presented is, okay, we want to meet future demand. We want an alternative source. We want to meet our average daily flow. If something happened to the river, we can still have our average daily flow. And even in 20, 30 years, even if that's the only source, if the river runs dry at a particular time, you can have the basic necessities in your, just like now, you're trying to provide the basic necessities. When you get to stage 4, you're going to that's all you're going to have is basic necessities. And it's going to damage your, the people not where your money comes from. You're not going to be selling water, so what's that's going to do to your income in the water? You can't sell water either. So it's kind of a two-edged sword you want to conserve, but then that's also where your income comes in. So what are the available options? Well, one is keep doing what you're doing, water rights, and increasing your plant capacity in your system. Purchase treated brackish water from Southmost from Brownsville is an option, or could be an option. Develop your own brackish water source, seawater desalination or advanced water treatment, which is basically take your reuse from your wastewater plants. So those are the options that we have considered through this process. And so this is a little busy. There we go. This is have a. Okay, all right.
It's a little bigger on this side, or it helps?
What?
Does this one help a little bit, or?
I mean, I can see it, I'm
Yeah.
so in red, you see there's a potential well field. We did some studies way back, maybe a dozen years ago, maybe, is the one in red is actually bringing water in from west of Los Fresnos and bringing it in and treating it with brackish. Okay, brackish is cheaper to treat than seawater, but you've got a long way to go to get it. Okay, by the time you pump it there, it is expensive. So you see the black hash is Southmost Regional Well Field. So they have a well field, and then down below they have the treatment plant, and then you would build a pipeline all the way to Orlando or Rio Vista. Now, that's their existing system, but they would be utilizing the same well field because they don't have any capacity in existence, so they're going to have to go to the same well field that you would probably develop. And you would only own 17% because I don't think that well field could develop the amount of water that you need and provide water that Brownsville would take too, because they could take 80%. And so that may or may not be. So we looked at we see the wastewater treatment plants, there are the triangle wastewater treatment plants, and that's where you would get your reuse from those facilities. So a little bit.
How quickly could we build an effluent? Are you about to go over that?
Which one?
An effluent or a wastewater treatment plant?
The wastewater plant doesn't provide you the capacity that you need. You can always use the wastewater for irrigation, but then it takes longer to permit if you're going to use it for direct potable use. And I know you've done a study, and I didn't push that any further because I couldn't get the 5 LMWD and it's 900 acre feet that we were looking for. I'm not saying don't do it, but it would be in addition to the future as you go along. So
I've been asked that. I'm raising all the questions people ask me already.
Right.
Well, why wouldn't we do both? That's what they've said. Why wouldn't we do both?
Eventually, you probably will. Yeah.
And why wouldn't we do that first?
Um,
And why wouldn't we do both?
Well,
Why wouldn't we do both?
is I think that if you think about drinking wastewater, you know, it's harder to get public opinion there. It's all also isolated in very smaller locations. It just didn't prove as feasible because we can get the amount of water that we need.
This is like,
The-
this option
for the buck
is
is-
more expensive, will take longer, but will give us basically open up a whole field of possibilities, whereas the effluent one, maybe cheaper, maybe faster, but very limited extra supply. Is that
Yeah, we're looking at
the
maybe
argument?
about 700 acre feet versus 5,000 acre feet. That's the difference between the two projects. So that's
Only a
why.
seventh of-
Yeah, and then
Right.
trying to convince people that water you flush is something you want to drink. That's a whole
I
other
don't,
problem.
I can't, I wouldn't guarantee that
It's
we'll
all the
do it
problem.
faster because I think it's more difficult to prove it.
Okay, so it might even be slower, so same time constraints. Okay.
And so this is, this is the two options, you know, I'll get to this, but the option that we would be looking at to see if it actually provides you the amount of water. Now, if you lowered your water standards, maybe we increase that a little bit. But this one is the well field that takes away all the other information away from the map. And so, to me, I was thinking in my mind before I estimated that this would be your cheapest alternative. But it's a long way. And you don't know, I'm only assuming that's about the area that you would need, so you've got purchased land, you got to, so it's just behind the southmost regional, we did 30 test wells to get 20. And so they're kind of running out of capacity. I mean, they have some capacities. Now you'd have to, so I figured you needed 17 wells to provide yours. And so at 2 million a well and the pipelines and everything else, it does add up. And so, okay. So, and this is just to give a location area of where the proposed seawater site is. We haven't designed it, it's not designed, but a location has been selected. We've looked at South Padre Island, both the north end, south end, and Portsville just proved to be more feasible location because of one, hurricane protection, water quality, consistent water quality, and co-location next to existing water treatment. So this is the location, not necessarily where the discharge and the intake is going to be in the Portsville channel. And so we're not going to get into the details because we haven't designed it, but we're going to show you some slight details. So this would be the intake, and you've seen the intake. This is the dredging area and the pump station located at the navigation district. So now, one of the biggest questions is how much it costs. So projected cost for each one, and a clincher is that a reliable 5,600 acre feet supply. So water rights and river and water, it's 70 million, but it's not reliable. You're just basically, you know, you're going to be cut off during times of drought, and paper water may not deliver you real water. And purchase treated brackish desalination, 123 million. And it's not likely that if Brownsville is going to sell you that, they're going to take more of it, and that Wellfield wouldn't give you that amount of water. Develop your own source. I said, okay, that's probably going to be pretty equivalent to what the seawater is. And I've got $114 million for that. And then seawater desalination, I thought was really high. It's 60 million. And this is just construction costs, not development costs. And then direct potable reuse is 13 million. That's for one plant to give you a relatively small amount. So you can see there that seawater, I mean, it surprised me that seawater is even, cheaper. I thought maybe the other one would be less, but it ends up not being that way. So comparing the two potential options, which is brackish and seawater, new water, both over new water, limited supply, yes on the brackish, no on the seawater, distribution, minimal improvements on the distribution system, well water system improvements, there's none. Basically, you're just bringing water into the plant right there. environmental permitting, we figured that the brackish is gonna be a little easier to permit, but, not the seawaters. You know, we're doing the right things going forward with the seawater desalination, permitting, and all the environmental that we've been doing thus far. Operational costs, both are high. Finished water quality, both are good. They're excellent. Drought resistance, I'd say the seawater is more drought resistant than the brackish, because the wells could be affected by drought. Economic growth, both are good, providing new water supply to the area. And climate change adaptation. So as the climate change in the reservoir, you get hotter temperatures, you get more evaporation. So you get population, evaporation, sedimentation that also the useful life of the reservoir is 100 years for a dam they gotta replace and repair the dam. So what do you do when they take the dam out of service in 100 years? I mean, those are two of the newer reservoirs in the state of Texas, but you're still 40 years down the road, and you're going to do something with the dams that has all the reservoirs in the state of Texas. So the myth is it's power intensive, it's going to cost a lot, and that would be right. But let's put it in perspective. What is the typical household use of electricity? And I did a lot of research getting these things put together. As you can see, electric heating is 48% of your utility bill. Your water heater is 19, and your AC is 14. And this is average. I mean, down here, your heating bill is probably not going to be that much. It'll be more, probably reverse with electricity. But I calculated for a household using 8,000 gallons per month, which is probably a little higher. I don't know what your average is, but I picked 8,000. And that equates to 32 cents cost per day. Your refrigerator averages 39 cents a day. So if you say, okay, it takes too much power to run a desal plant. Well, it takes a whole lot more power to run most of the things in your house than the desal plant. And so it just put things in proper perspective. Because we pay too little for water in the future. We pay too little for the future of water.
Where would current water be? Cost per day of our current water?
I didn't count, that's a good question. On the previous graph, we showed like 40, let's see this. Oh, there it is. $37 is the average. That's statewide. Now here is going to be higher, probably. Or do you think what's an average water bill?
It is about $40
Yeah.
a month average, but I think you're,
household.
and that is electricity?
No, this is
That-
water.
But you were asking about electricity,
Yeah,
right?
like what's our current electricity water cost? Is that,
I would say that when you go, that's the water cost too.
yeah,
So if we go down here to,
like our district would then be paying 32 cents.
residential
which would
bill
get passed on to
is
people.
almost like
yeah,
You're just showing how it's not.
how it compares to other electrical use within your house. That doesn't equate to their water.
Does that
The water
mean-
bill's gonna go up.
Does that mean everybody's electric bill is gonna go up 32 cents a day?
No, their water
But
bills.
the water bill, it'll be incorporated in the water.
Right, well, that's what it means, like,
Yeah.
you're,
I mean, there's gonna be
you're
more
gonna
costs
incur a
associated
cost
with
of
it.
32 cents a day.
Right.
But there's already a cost right now, might be 8 cents a day.
Right.
For the district.
Right.
To run its electric. That's what I was wondering, like what the difference is.
It's the
That's a good,
increase that
that's a good
matters.
question to look into. It was really just trying to give a perspective of what the electric cost is to what it would mean to your.
But what that looks like for people is like you're sticking another refrigerator in my house eating up electricicity, you know? It's another 32 cents.
So roughly if it costs you $5 per 1,000 gallons, what did it cost you? 2 bottles of 1 liter bottle of water, or 1,000 gallons of desalinated seawater. That's a perspective. I know that there's a lot of dollars in the packaging of that, but That's the difference in cost.
And they're both good tasting water.
Pardon?
They're both good tasting water.
Right.
Because the desal produces, like that water that we have on the tables is from our laboratory. Because they need to have a reverse osmosis system there for the cleanliness of their glassware and all that, where they do testing. So that's where we get our, our water and ice from that lab. So it's the same tasting water that comes out of the sea once it's completed the reverse osmosis system.
So this just gives people a perspective of what it means for them. So then there's a lot of things that need to be done from an environmental perspective. This is something that that the district has moved forward with in making sure that additional things that we've looked at from marine species, sea turtle, horned lizards, oyster beds, fish habitat, making sure that all that is protected with the construction and operation of this plant. Endangered species, wetlands, cultural resources, make sure there's no archaeological. It's basically going through all the environmental information required by, even if it's not required by because it's just good stewards. So there's a lot to do on the environmental. We haven't done it yet, but we're in the process of doing it. And so since well, how come we haven't done it? Well, that's what we're doing. We're not in the design phase, we're in the collecting information and putting it public. So, one of the biggest concerns that environmentalists have, or to protect the environment, is to keep marine life from coming into the plant and building marine. And so, intake streams are designed to keep impingement and entrapment requirements. So if a fish swims by, the velocity is so low it doesn't affect that fish swimming by in the stream. So it's not like they're going to be impinged on the stream. And that's one of the more popular things that you have in a waste treatment facility is the intake, and making sure that covers those environmental needs. So we're mainly working with the Corps of Engineers with all the 408, 404 permits. We've got to go through the consultation process with U.S. Fish and Wildlife. There's not a stone that doesn't get turned over to figure out, make sure that we're not affecting anything. And that's why permitting sometimes it is one of your longer lead times, probably up to 2 years or more to get things going. I know in California, well, I'm not going to talk about California. If you need, it's almost like building a reservoir in California. And so you've got state permits, you've got federal permits, you've got discharge permits. It's huge. So all these things would be taken into consideration before you ever start any kind of construction of the project. So in your handout, which you'll have, you've got a whole lot more frequently asked questions, but these are some of the ones that are asked most. What is seawater desalination and how does it work? And so in your packet, you have some of the information, but basically, we remove salt from the water, creating a more purified water. We create a concentrated solution, called brine or concentrate, that's discharged out into the receiving water. In our particular case, the receiving water is combined with wastewater effluent, and so this is discharge no impact from a construction standpoint, but it's blended back into its natural state. And the same constituent that we brought in is going to be the same constituent going out, because it's blended to keep that concentrate diluted. So what environmental impact? We talked about the discharge now that we intake, and previously in intake, we designed that from tracking the marine species in the plant. Energy consumption, we talked a little bit about energy. It does cost more for energy, but there's also energy recovery systems that we put on the plant to reuse some of that stuff, to recycle some of the power. We use a lot less heat in today's world than we did 10 or 15 years ago. And and maybe we can incorporate some renewable here. We've got a lot of wind farm power. We've got to mitigate things, orchard beds, seagrasses, things like that. We mitigate, and that will be mitigated to the approval of the environmental uses. And what does it cost? What's the cost of recycling? We're talking a little bit of cost. And it is costly, but what does it cost for you not to have water? What does it cost to be in stage 4? That's going to be that direction. And how does the water quality compare to other water sources? What's going to be better than your water sources you get out of the river? So you've got a good treatment system, but there's only so much you can do with reverse osmosis. You get all the minerals out, most of the minerals out. Sometimes you get back minerals, so it tastes better. You see your bottle of water is treated by reverse osmosis and minerals added to the taste. What you do is it brings some of the stuff back in because it tastes too much. So,
Bill, I think it's really important, just because I hear the chatter in my community from my position, people are going to be concerned, oh, this is a cost to us, we're going to have to pay for this. But they need to understand what happens if we don't build it. So, like, what is the tax consequence of sales receipts, right? If suddenly the island can't have people come in, right? And how does that affect the cities when that tourist wheel doesn't turn, right? Like that's a real
Definitely affects
expense.
future growth.
Right, affects future
As well
growth.
as current.
Current growth, I mean, if we have 15%, what happens to the beach park?
Yeah, Schlitterbahn's done.
Like, for real, what, do they know? Have we talked to them? Are they shut down?
Not yet.
At
When they-
15%?
We've been talking
15.
about it because, it comes up in our conversations when we have meetings. They recycle the water and they don't use like daily. They recycle the water, they filter it, and then they put it back in the system. They have special tanks for doing that, filtration system. So their percent of usage is not as high as some people would think that they're just using water. But
Basically, it's
evaporation is pretty high. That's the other thing. That's when they add like maybe once a week, or what is it? Noe? What is it?
Yeah, for many years it was once a week, more or less, once a month, and then as it gets busier, they go to every couple of times a week. But for the most part, we have throttled them down, during certain events because it does, they take in a lot of the water.
Yeah, they're our number one customer, right?
And so we do throttle them down at times, and they're familiar with the fact that we need them to be mindful of the demand that the public requires.
It might be.
No,
a good idea.
they're not a number one customer.
They're not what?
They're not our number one customer.
Oh, they're not, yeah,
No.
so I mean, so you think we should be visiting?
But they are in the top.
They're in the top 10.
Top
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, should we be I was about to say, visiting with our top 10 people to say, hey, this is coming, we need to talk about it, because I don't know what our rules are for residential versus commercial, and we can't treat them both the same. It doesn't make sense to treat them both the same, right? When you turn the water off, when you reduce somebody's water at their house, we're still allowing them enough water to live, right? If you reduce the water at the beach park, now you're not allowing them enough water to both live as a business, and you're killing their business. So it's a little bit,
It would be similar as irrigation districts, where they have cut them down already. They're not irrigating their crops or the fields. So they're cut off the system, so it's domestic use only now. So it would be similar to that.
we go to that. Is that something that happens? Sorry, businesses, you're out of luck.
What is in there, Charles? I can't remember.
Well,
exactly on the-
would we want to modify or amend the plan to have conditions for commercial and conditions for residential to, just for clarification, we can amend our water conservation plan to be practical for business?
If this plan was put into place, do we know when?
Oh, was it 2021 or no?
No, I mean, it's initial iteration. I mean, was there drought plan in 2000, 1990?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, there was
We've
drought
had-
plans,
It's been out
but it's,
for quite a
yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Bill, I'm jumping
No,
right in the
I-
middle.
I-
No,
do have
that,
a
it's
question
been,
about
it's been
the-
modified and updated every,
But
every
this is
2-3
your-
years.
This is your plan, not a federal plan, not a state plan, but you, the state by virtue of you taking money from them, you have to submit the plan. You can
Right.
amend the plan,
right.
but you're,
Right.
you're the
22.
one who
It's 22.
self-imposed it 15%.
Yes,
Or did they?
yeah, that's the way, it's our
If
plan.
you inflicted it yourself, you can change it, like,
Yes, we
you
can.
Right.
change it, wait until, if they're under construction, then you're gonna give them a.
Right,
Right.
or we could choose to change this trigger to 10%, or, you know, it's not an absolute. We can modify it as what makes sense for our district.
We could add stage 5 water restrictions.
Yes,
Right.
We could say, look at this, we're gonna cut off these things, but we're not gonna kill a business. You know, like, and maybe we need to have a roundtable on that quickly. Sorry, Bill. In the middle of everything.
So I'm basically,
Yeah.
what I'm taking is input from, you know, where we need change, to be less reward in some area. Because I'm gonna be talking, or we're gonna be talking to people that don't know anything about desalination or process, and they're gonna be, our audience is gonna be different. Or we're gonna be talking about people that are really interested in the environment and fun. And there's people that are interested in what's the business. You can have different people and maybe you have different,
questions.
different presentations, making you emphasize and know your audience. But if it's right now, this will be the first of a public hearing that's not necessarily required. So I figured in probably June, late June, that we would say, okay, let's open up the convention center, open up one of the hotels, and say it's a public hearing. We invite everybody to this it's a pre-public hearing, it's not required, but you're gonna end up doing, I'd rather get the input now than have to fill it up.
It's
And
not required.
I would use the word, public information session, keep the word hearing.
Yeah, it's not really.
I think
you present this, you
Yeah.
present to those
Yeah,
people
what do
that
we
are
call
on
that
that list
public,
too.
we can call it a public hearing on this one, we call it.
Yeah,
Public
I would keep the word hearing out
Public
because that
information.
means people think we're making a decision today, public information session.
Bill, I think we do this for Carlos, we do this with the 30 people too first.
Oh, yeah.
30 people that are our
Yes.
cheerleaders, we do this once or
They,
twice.
they,
with
they
them.
need to understand what, the presentations are, and, they're the ones that really recommend moving forward.
There's a couple other, so public questions, since that's what we're on, and this is regarding your presentation. I would want to know, who else did we talk to before we decided on Norris Leal? That should be in there. Why Norris Leal?
And your, yeah.
And then the next part would be, at the start, you explaining your expertise. So people like, I'm totally convinced of your expertise, but I had to go through that process to get here, right? So people need to understand that you're a real expert on that, what you've done, the successes that you've had. One thing that I'll just share real quick is in our community, we went through a big deal to try and get fiber internet, and when the guy came in to give the presentation, we found out something that he had skeletons in his closet from some criminal charges, right, that had been brought up against him. And so people went right online as soon as the presentation was done, did some legwork, found this, brought it out, and it killed the whole deal. So we don't have anything that, like, anything, I mean, and the thing is, if he had told us ahead of time, we could have packaged it totally differently, somebody else could have come and done the presentation, you know what I mean? So anything like that, please, let's get way out ahead of it. If you've got any skeletons, let's find the best PR person to do this, you know what I mean? Like, to my knowledge,
Here's my suggestion on, it's probably best, because since we get up here and say, oh, you're the engineer, you get paid to do this. It's better to get a speaker within the group that can do this, and I'm there, or one of us is there for a resource.
Yeah, we got a good speaker though, in the relations center. Jason's not gonna be probably our best option for it, because he's a builder. And so, you know, we may even need to hire a PR person to do it. I'm just thinking, I can't think of one person that would really put this out there for us in a way where it's you know, I would have no do it, quite frankly, that anybody, even though you're an engineer, I think you know it inside and out, your expertise really comes through. I know you can't go around and do 40 of these, you're a busy guy, but like maybe a couple of them, well, so you're pretty good.
I would do a open to the public information meeting. Invite everybody in the community and your stakeholders. I would individually go make a small presentation to some of the people that really have a stake in this or concern, whether it be the, you know, the Fish and Wildlife or Sierra Club or Sea Turtle. You know, all those are very important. Well, all of them are important, but those that we want to make sure that we go to them first before we can have a public meeting, because we want to talk to them and have those questions. They come to public meeting too, but it's really bringing them in and say, here, we have a dilemma. What choices do we have to increase our water supply and reliably for the area? So, and some people might not care. They say, well, I don't really want any more growth. Those, you know, you're going to have some of that type of thing too, that they don't want any.
Yeah.
Happen in Austin and East California.
And these are the people we have to explain, like, hey, it's not about growth. It's about supply, right? That we're not doing this to meet all the growth. And that's why I don't really love that one slide that shows the growth and why we have to do this. I think we show this slide of our water and how it's going down. And I think we show people, if we don't go get more water, we might have none left. So that we don't tie it to the growth, that we're tying it to the supply side of things. Because that motivates me rather than, well, you know, it's gonna grow a lot, so we gotta go tax you a bunch of money so we can go get some more water. Rather it should be, our water is going down, we might not have enough to serve you, we're gonna have to build this plant. Oh, okay, that makes a lot more sense. So this
Yeah, and the main thing is to be
going through HOA meetings all the time, you learn like the pitfalls.
Yeah.
And that's, packaging is very important.
Also, one of the things that I've seen that a lot of customers have the little system inside their home, like reverse osmosis or whatever it is, but they want better tasting water, and I've seen a lot of them everywhere. They have to still maintain them and clean them and do some work on them. So those will probably go away when we have the better tasting water. So that's my goal is, they've been requested for many years, is better tasting water. So we're the last ones on the river, so that's why we have this kind of water that we have now available. And we meet the requirements for the state, but taste and odor are not one of the highest requirements. They're like at the lowest, you know, so it's not a requirement to have good tasting water.
Certainly taste would be on the list of things that would help sell it. To me, the supply is the number one motivator. Our supply is going way down. If we don't do this, none of us might have water. It's not about the future people, it's about the people here right now.
Right. So we're on the right track. That's what I'm trying to say, that we started and we have to complete this project, and we're a little ahead, but not necessarily, because the water is still on the low side.
Well, the voters voted for this over a decade ago. You didn't implement it back then.
Yeah.
Is this too early to talk about potential funding assistance that could come from the state?
No, we're at the right time.
So.
No, I mean, we're talking to the.
I think that funding, and I meant to put a funding slide in there this week. I'm glad you brought that up, because we don't know exactly where the funding's gonna come from. We have some, because a lot of times we have to put sources and uses, and so this is what we are hoping.
Right.
And yeah, that's good. That needs to be put in there, that we are searching for additional funds so that taxes and rates will go up as much as they can. And we'll talk about the different sources that are potential. And you're trying to be shovel ready to be available, be ready to get some of those funds as they come in.
So we approved this as voters, a desalinization plan. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So I think that needs to be at the start of the presentation as well. That this has already been approved. The voters have already voted for this, you know what I mean?
Are
Whereas,
they gonna ask, well, why
voted
was
on
it
it,
completed,
why
isn't it here?
well, then we can talk, yeah, we'll have to talk about why that is. But I think it's important that we present this as something that this is voter approved, it was approved, and now we're moving, you know, it's been a long time coming, and, you know, we didn't wanna, there's lots of ways that we can talk about that as we package it, but I think it's really important that it's presented like this was a voter approved initiative already. We're moving, yeah, this is a
That would be part of
continuation, we're moving
the
ahead.
frequently asked questions. You already agreed that, how come you didn't do it?
Yeah, but we can come up with some
Well,
good
your graph
answers to that.
showed it, your graph showed it, like, when it was time to kind of get after it, we weren't in that freaking out stage.
And quite frankly, we've been working on it for years.
Yeah,
The answer is, we've been working on it.
Yes.
And now what's coming to this point where we're ready to finally talk about it. But I think that's really important. This was voter approved, because there's a lot of new people who weren't here then. And so they're gonna think, oh, I get an up or down vote on this. Well, no, we already actually took that up or down vote and the voters approved it, so.
and can you also state, like, how far the industry's come since that 10 years ago? Like how, not
Improvements.
that it's,
Efficiency.
yeah, efficiency, it's not gonna be less expensive, but efficiency.
Efficiency, membranes have become more efficient.
Yeah, just those kind of
It
things.
has more power, it's really more about the power and regeneration of electricity on a stage.
And the safer it's become, the, you know, all those things. That would give an excuse for, at least for us, not excuse, but for us saying, well, you know, we're at a stage now in development. It's like not buying an electric car 20 years ago. You know, you're just so much further along.
Right, yeah, I mean, those are all good points. I debated put in the state stuff. You know, is that really important to this, to see the perspective of, you know, what's going on in the state and where things are funded? It's really, I was trying to develop the way, I gave an example, like, if your kid, you buy your kid a car for graduation, it costs $50,000 and they drive it for 20 years and they have to have a car payment, and now 20 years later, they gotta buy a car. It's a shock to the system. That's what happened, you know, 50 years ago. Our parents paid for all this stuff for us to drive this water. Now we're out. Okay, now we've got to come up with the funds to create.
That's a really good argument. That's really, really good.
Focus on the supply.
I think
Okay, we gotta, because, I mean, look at it, so the average age is a lot older. So people are gonna be like, why do I gotta care about the future? Why do I have to pay for the future water when I won't be here, right? So we need to explain to them, do you want water in 3 years? Because if you do, this is why we gotta do it. You know, that's their time horizon, 10 years. Outside of that, I don't care about paying for growth 10 years.
It's the same as the school district. I don't have any kids.
Exactly, right? And you get a lot of people who are like, yeah, I don't want to do it. I vote down on those tax measures for schools, right? Like we just had those in our last election cycle. Anyways, just saying that, that's a good presentation, and some ways we can spice it up, I think.
Yeah, I'd love a video of some kind included in that. I'm serious, that video of like fish swimming by one of those filters. And
There's a few.
I know there is, I bet there is, but I just think, you know, when you say that, it's the first thing I think of is someone's dropping a vacuum cleaner down there and everything, he's just getting sucked into it. And it's just a visual, big giant pipes.
And if somebody is against the project, they can build a case of, oh, you know, makes people think more about it if they're against, because that's what happened when this was voted on, but you had some negative.
Yeah.
It's coming from the board.
Yes, we had some
You're totally different, you're a
some
totally different
anti-board
board now, and you're all in favor of.
It takes 100% staff and board to be on board and move this project forward. One loud, noisy individual is nothing but friction and fraction.
Well, I appreciate the input, and we'll work together. I want to simplify it towards it's a little less numbers. I don't like a lot of things on the slide. And pictures are a lot better than words. And I'll look for a video.
Yeah.
Bill, thank you.
You got it. Sorry.
Thanks, Bill.
No, sorry. I interrupted you though.
I didn't stop the clock when you asked questions. So I was at 2 hours and
Let's move along to item 10. Does that conclude? Charles, any more to add?
Yeah, let's be here.
Let's carry to item 10. Discuss and take action on a resolution requesting financial participation from the Texas Water Development Board authorizing the filing of an application for financial participation and making certain findings in connection therewith, resolution number 211052024.
Yeah, this is for the SWIFT application that was submitted May 13th. And, we can give them the date of submitting these resolutions by tomorrow to keep the project on track. We start on the 3rd.
Questions, approval? Approval.
Need a motion to approve? Motion to approve?
Second. Motion for approval by Dr. Rolland, second by Mrs. Donahue. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None. Motion will carry. Item 11, consider and discuss the possible ratification of corrective change order number 2 with Ferguson Service Systems Inc. for wastewater system improvements.
And now this is, we have brought up, change order 2, it was just only the seawater pipe modifications, please control the road. So there is a request for various, system holders, for increase of $752,507.71. It's also, since this was on the agenda on the 8th, of the essence of gave a release to the product, we went ahead and did the emergency
That was 12, been approved. Is this tied into 12?
No, this is for the general contract, which I mean, if you want to discuss the change order in detail, we can already start. We can talk about the contract change order versus the amendment for better resources. This is the general contract. Which is, for this relationship.
Yeah, I make a motion.
So motion made by Mr. Water for approval.
Second.
Second made by Dr. Rolland. Are all those in favor? Are all those in favor? They are. Okay, none opposed. Motion will carry. Next is item 12, consider and discuss the possible approval of amendment number 5 to free significant fees for professional engineering services for water system improvement.
Now, this measure where we'll be modifying the construction rate for the seawater process. And I guess I'll hand it over to Charles Chair to explain this amendment in more detail as we try.
Thank you. I'm Charles Gachurko with Recent Nichols Engineering. I'm joined this evening with Juan Bajanos and President Mendez. The agenda tonight is amendment number 5 for our water system improvements agreement. This is a reconciliation amendment that we've been tracking changes in scope and in services as far back as 2022. That kind of reconciles some of those changes, but it's also some additional services for mainly construction management as well as resident construction inspection to see these projects through construction. I want to make best use of everybody's time tonight. I can go through the amendment in detail, but if y'all already gone through the amendment, if you have some questions, I'll be happy to ask those. Just let me know how I can best facilitate it.
Yeah, basically, where in the first part it says being completed with, based on schedule with all projects being completed. We never thought this thing was going to be completed, did we? At 24, 25 on the first, on A. The original contract was based on, with all projects being completed with construction by 24, 25.
That was pretty,
Because I don't ever remember
that was a little unbad.
us saying that we never thought we'd complete it by then. So when you gave us the first proposal, I guess my thing is I'd like to take Charles to go over the first contract and then look at what the new proposal is, compare them. I don't remember the first contract. And then the other thing is just the extended management, and not that you guys don't do a great job, don't get me wrong. But then the resident representative, the 290,000, I talked to you about this earlier, Carlos, is, I don't know, part of that could be on us where we don't need to pay as much as that?
Well, I explained it to Charles earlier that they wanted to see the previous contract and then this one. Is
I
it
think that we
all
might
in
have
the
to table
same?
this until you go through that.
Okay, just give some more,
Yes.
detailed on, walk through the
More
contract.
clarification.
Yes.
Okay.
And then, Carlos, we talked about as far as the resident representative.
Yes. On that resident representative, we need information on what does that entail to, like, resident representative?
So, resident representative is, pretty much we're gonna have an inspector on site that would be visiting the site, we detailed that out, page SC3 of the amendment 5 document. What that really entails is having a representative that's visiting the sites. We're projected between May 2024, this month, and November 2025, that inspector would be out there 3 days a week for a maximum of 13 hours per week, visiting all the sites. And then that would also change in December of 2025. And that's pretty much what we're going to see is we're going to see a release of projects with heavy construction, with all the new projects, the raw water pump station, the high surface pump station, elevated storage tanks. We'll have kind of a peak of activities between all the projects, and then they'll kind of taper off. And that's kind of what we base those hours of representation. I know that y'all may be aware we've had some challenges on the lift station projects where we're catching things that contractor may not be following the documents to the real detail, and we're catching mistakes after they're been produced. So what this resident rep role is they're going to be out there, they're going to be observing, they're going to be reporting back to us. They'll be documenting the site, that way if there is a claim, we have documentation behind it. But also kind of working hand in hand with the contractor to kind of help them manage the projects through construction.
Well, I just have a question as far as if we needed that much, or if Charles could be involved in some of that. We talked about that earlier. And then I'd like to go through the first contract and kind of compare it.
Oh, all right, at this time, or do you want to follow up
No, I
after
mean,
we table?
follow up later.
Okay.
I'd like to table it.
Yeah, it might be good for, I don't know if we want to maybe consider a workshop or have it during the regular meeting at the next meeting,
Have
or,
it at the next meeting, and then that's fine with me, next meeting,
Can we workshop a half hour before?
we can.
Ideal.
yeah, because there's a lot
Would it-
involved.
Would it take half an hour or an hour? I think it'd be more than 30 minutes. About an
Yeah, I
hour.
mean,
I recommend an hour. We'd love
Yeah.
to involve, go
About an
through
hour.
all the changes and the timeline of the changes.
Well, I'm for that if we do
Yeah.
an hour before the next meeting. When is the next meeting? Maybe 10?
So we,
Okay.
June 12th.
Or 12. Okay, 12.
Second and fourth meetings.
12. I'd like to do that. don't know
Yeah, I
what
think
this
I'd like
board-
to too.
So I have a motion to table this agenda item 12.
I second.
Motion to table made by Mr. Donahue and seconded by who? Mr. Blodder. Did you want to reconvene again for the 12th at 4:30? All in favor? Next, item 13, consider and discuss for possible approval of petition for annexation of 32.4 acres of land to Laguna Madre Water District from Padre Island Castle Development.
They have a representative.
No, so they're not attending. Or, I mean, Carol Olstead, we did talk to her on the phone, but, it's initially a small, request at this stage. I mean, yeah, so what health Dr. Pastor at, she's trying to do, her initial, request is for, like an RC, like a go-kart park.
See that? Yeah.
And so pretty much with this first stage,
This is a good opportunity to go over, sorry, this is the world's longest meeting. This is a good opportunity to go over when somebody is doing a development like this, who pays for all the stuff to be put in? Like, are they paying, they pay for everything, right? Let's say they need a lift station to get their wastewater, who pays for that?
The developer, okay,
They pay for it.
yes.
So, and they pay, do we already have a line that goes out there?
The line is on Park Road 100,
Right.
so that's the available connection.
So they're gonna have to pay for a lift station, they're gonna pay for all the infrastructure. How do we decide whether or not their their water needs cause us to get more water needs, and whether that should affect if we charge them for more plant capacity or more plant, like, do we have to upgrade any plant stuff for these people?
Well, I mean,
They don't pay for our plants in any way. Nobody ever does, right?
it's a fee schedule established in the annexation fee, it's
So
based on.
So their annexation fee, we take that and that goes towards plant upgrades, things like that.
Right, it's funding that we can use it to essentially, it's kind of, we have a system development account or just infrastructure accounts, that's where this money should be placed.
So we do charge people just to buy into our system, on top of the fact that they gotta.
Yes, water and wastewater development charges.
Yeah, there's SEC fees that are part of your connection,
Right?
and then this is the.
Are those-
charge.
Are they development charges? What would we call that?
There's just some development charges, that's part of our rate structure that's been in place, quite a while.
For our system,
Right.
development of our system, water treatment and wastewater.
Right.
So we do charge development fees.
Right. And
They're
so-
buying into it for a prorated amount.
Right, they're buying into it.
Right, this is additional charge on top of that, as development charge, customer service.
Right, because I see that, we have in here, they got a buy-in charge of 5,000, they got another buy-in charge of 3,800, they got another buy-in charge of even more than that. And that's basically, those aren't charges for us to do stuff, that's, hey, you're buying into our water, you're buying.
Yes, they're buying into our existing capacity, what we've already, at the moment.
This is something important that will come up on other things, right? That's why I'm asking, there should be public knowledge that.
Plus water
that,
rights.
hey, when this place gets built, it's not necessarily impacting Mrs. Smith and Laguna Vista because, we already have the plant. Now these guys are buying into that plant as well. And so we're gonna take that money to upgrade the plant to help look after the plant. So now Mrs. Smith isn't paying as much money for the plant. We got this development, which is gonna be contributing, looks like just to build a go-kart place, $30,000 this year to help look after that plant. But now Mrs. Smith doesn't have to pay as much, right?
Yeah, I mean, this is just meant to be, this is what we determine through annexation procedures of, how much they're buying into our existing water supply authorization, water plant infrastructure, and sewer plant. They're just buying in, it doesn't have that much scope of actually.
Now, when we have a bigger infrastructure, when we have a desalinization plant, how will our annexation fees change? Or will they not change?
Well, I would think we want to revise it accordingly. As we have capital costs established, we should turn around and revise our annexation fee schedule that they get approved.
Because it's a set fee schedule, it's not based on a percent of our capital costs, or it's not based on a percent of anything like that, it's just a.
Yeah, I mean, I think that especially this
You have
last.
to take into account, there's a lot of property north Padre Island.
Taxes.
To be, or could be future annexed developed in.
Yeah.
And a lot of it's high impact stuff, future condominiums.
When was the last time?
So with what Scott just said,
It's been 20 years since this.
Well, our fee schedule update, I believe it was 2017. I got to check the right year.
The connection fees and STC fees were last done in 2007.
Right, but as far as the annexation fee payment schedule, it was November 2023, a month before the short annexation. We had bumped up our water rights to 3,500, and that was the last update on the fee schedule.
okay, so like, if a condo goes in for 1,000 people, they have to pay a lot more than a go-kart place that just has almost no water.
Right, I mean, 3.5 acre feet per year, that's
The key is to make sure they're not annexing a golf cart or a go-kart track in the upper condominium.
Exactly.
That's
Right.
the.
And there's been other so yeah, when they submit a site plan and it's nowhere near what they gave in their annexation fee, then we turn around and charge.
And I think that we're gonna have to give some thought to this as well if we're building a desalinization plant, new people coming in have to in some way buy into that, investment that the current people are making, right?
Right, yeah, and I don't think this petition doesn't block that future development into the current fee schedule, that fee schedule is revised as appropriate.
Yeah.
Then, that would be, the rate effect at the time for development, so.
Obviously, this is a small thing, but if we had a big thing, we're talking about,
Condominium development.
well, we're talking about
A
going to
high
number
density,
4.
would you approve something like that? No.
Right. Because if you're talking about we're running close to stage 4, you wouldn't approve it, but this is small, so, because that could come up soon.
Small or large is the same problem.
But
Well,
the thing is, if we're gonna go out and say we're running out of water, then you're approving things, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I agree with you. We can't,
Yeah.
that
Can't
was
have
my
it both
question
ways.
that we still need to answer to. At stage 4, it's automatically as a board, hey, we could approve it, but you can't get the water, right?
It's a new application for water.
But at a certain point, what if it was stage 2 and we just decided, you know what, we're done, we don't want any more people? Can we do that as a board? I'd like an answer to that.
You're
You have
not
to look
under
it up.
obligation to have to approve an annexation.
That's what I mean, like, could we just be like, no, sorry, we're not gonna approve that ever?
I mean, you
We're
have to have
blocking growth,
Yeah, we can do
as a
that.
majority of the
And
board.
you can do that, but,
Yeah.
I mean,
You might get challenged.
that's a challenging result.
On what grounds?
Discrimination.
Well, we already established the district boundary that once you purchase a property in the district boundary, that's, it comes in with the water services, I guess, wastewater. So
Like a drought would
like
be
a committed situation because they're in the district boundary. Now, this one's an annexation process. That's totally a little different, but, that's just what it is.
Right, it's not part
But
of it.
they,
So we could say no thanks, and then we would have to go through that path.
yeah, I would say so. The, one of the things that, like, on tax bonds and all that for like a desalination, everybody pays. It's in the district boundary. Even the ones that are annexing, they have to pay, that whatever amount it is on their, taxes.
That's why that's fair if we're explaining it to people that this is to maintain a supply for us, as opposed to, yeah, we need to build this now so that more people can come here.
No,
People
no,
are gonna be like, heck
no.
no, I don't care about the growth anymore, I'm here.
Good.
So that's why
It's
it's
for
important
us.
we
Yeah.
explain that correct.
Correct, and I mean, the whole benefit of a lot of this next annexation is to add that to our property tax base. Be contributing to improving.
Sure, all that, right? That would be good. In fact, this might be a good one, right? We get in overall for everybody, you know?
Right.
Businesses that generate money for the community is a good thing.
I'll make a motion to approve the
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Goddard for approval for annexation and seconded by Mr. Donahue. Are all those in favor?
Aye.
Are any opposed? None. Motion is carried. Takes us to item 14. Consider and discuss for possible approval of setting date for public hearing on petition for annexation of Padre Island Castle Development to be held on June 26, 2024 at 5:30 p.m. Subsequently, consider order adding land for approval at the regular meeting following the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion made by Dr. Lalonde, seconded by Mr. Water. All those in favor?
Aye.
There are any opposed? None. Motion is carried. 15, consider and discuss the possible approval of financial reports for February 2024.
Highlight the general revenues for through February. Versus last year, 20% of the water, 16%. On the expenditure side, we're right around with expectations. The revenues are coming in, it's good.
Continuing to be serious about finding our leaks.
Yes, we
Mr.
are.
Gomez, that's probably for you. Yeah?
Yes.
Still going after it? Where are we at with the meters?
We still have problems with some of the meters, but we can't control, but they are renewing or honoring those meters that, and actually, the registers that they're getting replaced as soon as we send them out there. But we're having problems with the nodes now, the ones that communicate. But, again, they are honoring the warranty on them and they are replacing them as soon as we send them out there.
So we have the supply that we need to replace the
Right.
ones we discovered that
But we're still discovering they're not working with
Yes.
intensity.
yes, on a monthly basis, we're still finding some.
And just to be clear, to add to that, they are providing us with a different product, so it's not the same exact model.
So hopefully a better one, that we don't have the same issues. Great.
Yes.
Thank you.
15th, we, financials?
Acknowledge? Is that an acknowledgement? It's a look at a motion.
This is approval. Approval made by Mr. Water.
Second.
Second approval by Dr. Alon. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None motion carried. Thank you. Item 16, consider and discuss the possible ratification of the meter purchase for Long Island Village.
Chairman, members of the board, we're already placed an order for 1,025 5 meters for the Long Island Village project that we have right now. This is just clarification.
Where do they think they're going to install them? When do they think they'll be installed?
Oh, the contract time's 510 days, so it'll be in storage for.
This year?
I talked to Carlos about this too.
Yes.
He told me they have plenty of storage, it's gonna save about $12,000, right?
We'll be saving, a little bit more than $12,000
We're going to
by
store
purchase.
here in the warehouse?
Yes, the warehouse and here in the truck facility back there, plenty of room. So as they, install them, they'll come pick them up and then just take them. It'll be just a storage like a warehouse. So
There's plenty of room there.
the reason
don't need to
we,
expand this facility, we'll just put some desks over there, Carlos.
anyhow, the reason we, went ahead and I advised them to go ahead and get the meters because next month they're gonna be raising up the cost of the meters. So we'll be saving with, by this purchase, like over $12,000. And that's for LIV project, but
Motion for approval by
Thank you,
Mr.
Carlos.
Donahue,
Good.
The warranty,
seconded by Dr. Alon. All those in favor?
We're gonna do 2 years of warranty.
Well, they said that
17, consider
the warranty doesn't start until we install them. When we activate them,
Acknowledged.
that's when it's
Mr. Donahue, Mr. Friedman, Dr. Alon, and acknowledged by Mr. Water. Item 18, excuse me, executive session permitted by the Open Meetings Act, VPCA Government Code, Section 551001, ed sequence under Section 551071, consultation with attorney under Section 551072, deliberations about real property under Section 551074, personnel matters. Item A, discussion and possible action concerning negotiations with the S Corporation and Port Isabel San Benito Navigation District for seawater intake structure and pipeline. Item B, deliberation regarding the evaluation of district employees to the general manager. Do we need
Motion
to
to-
recess before we go into executive session or go?
I would like to mention,
Okay, motion to enter executive session by Dr. Lalonde at
We don't have information.
7:04 PM, seconded by Ms. Donahue. All those in favor? We are on executive. Item A, item B has been postponed until further notice. Takes us to item 19, consideration and action on executive items, and that's adjourn this meeting at 7:25 PM.